discovered. A shoeless girl's incredible interview transformation changes her life forever. Lucy stood at the threshold of a world that sparkled with possibilities. Her heart raced as she clutched the crumpled invitation to her internship interview in the city. A chance to break free from the confines of her small Midwestern town. But even before she stepped into that imposing glass-walled boardroom, doubt clawed at her. Her worn-out sneakers felt like a glaring symbol of her humble beginnings. As she crossed the polished threshold, she was met with stares, eyes scanning her like she was an open book. The panel of judges, clad in crisp suits and shiny shoes, barely concealed their judgment. Lucy's heart sank. Panic bubbled within her. Could she ever be worthy? Back home, her mom, Ellen, noticed the shadows underneath Lucy's eyes, the downturned corners of her mouth. "Lucy, remember, it's not what you wear. It's the heart you carry that counts," Ellen reminded her, her voice unwavering and warm. But self-doubt was a cloying fog, thick and suffocating. As Lucy lay in bed that night, thoughts of the crumbled interview haunted her. She had so desperately wanted to matter, but how could she in those shoes? It was a Tuesday afternoon when she found herself at the community center, seeking out the comfort of familiar faces. A local veteran, weathered and wise, shared stories of his own struggles, of being overlooked, of facing judgment, and still rising. "You've got to show them who you really are, kid," he said, the weight of his words settling deep in her heart. Those words lit a flame inside Lucy. With a fierce determination, she prepared to return to that boardroom. This time, she wouldn't just dress for the occasion. She would wear her experience like armor and carry her mom's sacrifices like a battle flag. She scrubbed away the discomfort of doubt, replacing it with a steely resolve. As she walked into the room again, she could feel the spark within her grow. She cleared her throat, ready to share her journey, the late nights, the sacrifices, the dreams for a future full of possibilities. The atmosphere hummed with tension, shifting with each word she spoke. Those judges, once so dismissive, began to lean in, the walls of judgment cracking. But amidst the momentum, a judge interrupted. "But can she really succeed here?" It sliced through her resolve like ice. The past crept back in. Those familiar aches of inadequacy whispered in her mind. What did they expect? The moment hung heavily, a chasm threatening to swallow her whole. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Lucy felt like she was teetering on the edge of a precipice. Would she allow their doubts to define her? Would her dreams slip away, just like whispers in the wind? She had the power to change the narrative, to rewrite her story. The flames of hope flickered in her chest. She inhaled deep, ready to confront the doubts surrounding her, not just her own, but those of everyone who had ever been underestimated. Would she rise and claim this moment, or would she fade into the shadows? The fight was just beginning. The world awaited her answer. Lucy took a deep breath, feeling the air flood her lungs and the weight of her hesitations begin to lift. She could hear the faint whisper of her mother's encouragement weaving through her thoughts. In that pivotal moment, the room transformed from an intimidating arena into a stage where she could finally perform. "Let me tell you what success means to me," Lucy began, her voice steadier than she felt. Each word flowed from her like a river breaking through a dam. She spoke of late-night shifts at the diner, juggling school and family responsibilities. She painted a vivid picture of the sacrifices her mother made, the missed dinners, the relentless smile, even on tough days. The words danced in the air, pulling the judges closer, drawing them into her world. The judge's skeptical gaze softened slightly. With every phrase, Lucy felt the strangling grip of self-doubt begin to ease. She was no longer just a girl with worn-out sneakers. She was a story, a fighter, and they needed to see that. She even caught a glimpse of a nod from one of the judges, a flicker of understanding that made her heart race. But just as she felt herself gaining ground, another judge leaned forward, arms crossed defensively. "That's all compelling, Lucy, but you must understand this is a very competitive environment. Why should we take a chance on someone like you? The question crashed over her like an unexpected wave, threatening to drag her down. In that instant, panic surged. Yet, Lucy knew this was her crossroads. Because I can bring a perspective that's real, she replied, digging deeper within herself. Because I know what it's like to fight for every chance, and I won't stop until I succeed. The honesty of her voice reverberated in the room, echoing not just her determination, but the pulse of everyone who had ever felt like they didn't belong. The panel was silent, exchanging glances. For a moment, the air crackled with uncertainty, but what had once been looks of judgment transformed into expressions of intrigue. Lucy's heart surged. Maybe, just maybe, she was breaking through. And then it happened. A small, quiet ripple of applause came from the back of the room. It caught her off guard, lifting her hope higher. Lucy turned to see a young woman, who had been waiting next to a wall, clapping softly. She didn't wear a suit, but had an aura of confidence that seemed to shine even brighter than the polished walls. For a heartbeat, she locked eyes with Lucy, and in that look, Lucy felt recognized for the first time. Keep going. Show them what you can do, the woman mouthed, her encouragement a lifeline in the flickering candlelight of Lucy's courage. Fueled by that small act of solidarity, Lucy finished her pitch with fervor. She shared her dreams, how the internship wasn't just a role but a chance to be part of something significant. Her vision for the future shone brighter with every word. As Lucy concluded, she felt lighter, her heart racing with exhilaration and vulnerability. So yes, I may not fit the mold of what you expected, but I'm ready to create a new one. The room resonated with a palpable energy. It was like she had unleashed a storm of possibility. Would they see her for who she really was? Would they understand the dedication behind those worn shoes? The lead judge leaned back, contemplating, and Lucy held her breath. What would be their answer? But then, hell broke loose. Just as the judges began to exchange whispers, the door swung open with a loud bang, interrupting the tension. An unexpected figure stepped in, and Lucy's stomach dropped at the sight. Could her moment of truth be about to unravel? The figure that stepped through the door was a man. He wore a dark suit, his hair slicked back to perfection. But it was his expression that gnawed at Lucy's insides. A mix of authority and impatience flared in his eyes, slicing through the charged atmosphere like a knife. Suddenly, Lucy felt her heart drop. Who was he? Sorry for the disturbance, he declared, scanning the room. The judges straightened in their seats. I have some urgent news that requires immediate attention. What does he want? Lucy thought, feeling heat rising in her cheeks. She could sense the judges stiffening, their focus shifting from her back to the man interrupting her moment. The young woman who had clapped for Lucy glanced around, her eyebrows slightly raised, as if trying to gauge the gravity of the interruption. We were just one of the judges began, but the man waved him off, his eyes locking onto Lucy. Can we speak for a moment? His tone was brisk. The room fell into a tense hush. Lucy's palms felt clammy. A sense of dread crept in. Was this man about to strip her of what little hope she had? Without waiting for an answer, he strode toward her, motioning for her to rise. This is important, he insisted. Wait. The lead judge finally spoke up, clearly bewildered. We can't just, but Lucy barely registered the protest. As she stood, her knees felt weak. She glanced back at the panel, hoping to see reassurance, but their faces reflected confusion and concern. Let us step outside, the man urged, gently guiding her toward the door. As she walked past the judges, she held her head high, but inside, she felt a storm brewing. Questions hammered in her mind. What had he seen to pull her away? Did she fail? Was he here to bring bad news? Once they were outside, he turned to face her, the hallway echoing with silence. Lucy, right? He asked, his voice softening slightly. I just wanted to say I was impressed by your presentation. Lucy blinked. This was not what she expected. Really? But you came in saying urgent news. Yes, I did, he replied, glancing back toward the door. But after hearing you speak, I felt I needed to say this. You have something special. You're unique in a way they rarely see. You didn't just present your story, you brought it alive. That's what the world needs. Her heart thudded painfully in her chest. Then why does it feel like you're pulling me away? The man lowered his gaze, as if weighing his words carefully. Because that's not what they're looking for yet. They are searching for the perfect candidate, But there's nothing perfect about all of this, and you know that better than anyone. Keep fighting, Lucy. His words hung in the air like a fragile thread tethered to her hopes. She felt a surge of strength crumple with uncertainty. It wasn't enough. What am I supposed to do then? He paused, his blue eyes gleaming with sincerity. Trust the process. Your time will come. Not everyone can see your worth, but some will. You'll find your path. Just keep pushing forward. As he turned to leave, a spark of determination ignited inside her. Wait, Lucy called out, grabbing his sleeve. What is your name? He flashed a quick grin, a brief moment of levity that felt like a breath of fresh air. Evan, remember it. Once he disappeared back through the doors, Lucy returned to her spot in front of the judges. They were all staring at her, expressions softening the more she stood there. What did you want? A judge asked, breaking the silence. But Lucy's heart beat with renewed life. She felt ready to share her truth again. I believe that my worth is more than this moment, and I'm not giving up. Suddenly, the door swung open one more time. This time, it was the young woman in the crowd, her eyes lit with fire. Lucy, you better not let him get away before. But before she could finish, another interruption rang through the room. Lucy, I have something for you, and it could change everything. Lucy's breath hitched. What could it possibly be? The voice cutting through the tension belonged to a man in a wrinkled shirt, clutching a tattered clipboard. His hair was a wild mess, and he wore a hopeful smile that seemed out of place amid the seriousness of the room. Is that for me? Lucy asked, her mind racing. Was it an opportunity? A chance at redemption? The man nodded vigorously, stepping closer. Yes, I've been waiting for this moment. I couldn't take my eyes off your presentation. You have a way of capturing people's attention. Thank you, Lucy replied, her pulse quickening. But what are you giving me? He held up the clipboard, as if presenting a trophy. I'm part of a project that seeks undiscovered talents, the kind of raw, authentic talent that disrupts the norm. We're looking for a voice that resonates with the audience on a deeper level. And I think you're that voice. Lucy's eyes widened. What does that entail? It's simple, really. We're hosting a series of workshops and providing opportunities to showcase your work. It starts next week. You'd be a perfect fit. A cacophony of thoughts assaulted Lucy as she processed his words. Workshops? Showcasing her work? It felt like a dream, but was it really possible? The judges shifted in their seats, clearing their throats as they tried to reclaim their authority. One of them finally spoke. We advise you to be cautious, Lucy. Not every opportunity is as it seems. But the words barely registered in her mind. What do I need to do? She pressed, her heart racing with possibility. Just sign here, he said, thrusting the clipboard toward her, a pen dangling from his fingers like a coveted prize. As Lucy reached out, her hand trembled. A whirlwind of emotions swept over her: joy, fear, hope, apprehension. Was this the path Evan had hinted at? Was she ready to leap into the unknown? Before she could catch her breath, the group around her buzzed with energy. The young woman from earlier pleaded with her, Lucy, this could be your moment. Don't let hesitation hold you back. She locked eyes with the man holding the clipboard, who nodded earnestly, encouraging her to seize the chance. A bolt of resolve coursed through her. I'm ready, Lucy declared, surprising even herself. Let us do this. The pen met paper, and as she signed, something shifted within her. It was more than just names on a sheet. It felt like she was claiming a fragment of her future. Freedom washed over her, a newfound vision emerging from the confusion of the last few moments. Thank you, the man said, joy flooding his voice. You won't regret this. But as exhilaration danced in her chest, a shadow of doubt tugged at her mind. What if this opportunity was a false promise? What if she wasn't as talented as she hoped? But the lingering thoughts slipped away as she felt multiple hands patting her on the back. Support, encouragement, waves of warmth. It was infectious. Now we need to get your story out there before the world finds out how incredible you are. Lucy felt a smile break through, a glimmer of hope that had been distant and dim. Okay, she breathed, ready for whatever came next. Just then, a new voice broke through the hum of excitement. It was Evan, stepping back through the door as if drawn by an invisible thread. Lucy, I didn't think he began, when suddenly, the young woman interrupted again. Tell her what you know. It's vital. The air around them crackled with anticipation. Lucy's heart raced as she wondered what crucial information Evan had to share. What could change everything now? Evan took a step closer, his expression a mix of urgency and concern that immediately drew Lucy's focus. The room seemed to shrink around them, time stretching like taffy as everyone else faded into the background. Lucy's heartbeat thundered in her chest, amplifying the significance of this moment even more. "What do you mean it's vital?" she pressed, her voice barely above a whisper amid the excited chatter. Evan glanced around. "I overheard something about the project you just signed up for. It's more than just workshops. There's a lot of pressure and competition. You need to be ready for the unexpected." A chill trickled down Lucy's spine. "What are you saying? Is this or they not who they seem?" "They are." But he hesitated. "There's a darker side to this, Lucy. Some people are willing to go to great lengths to stand out. You'll have to protect yourself." The room felt like it was spinning. The buzzing excitement turned cold, and the hands that had patted her back felt heavier now, shifting from encouragement to something more like chains. She had signed up hoping for promise, but now a sliver of fear crept in. What had she just entered, a competition or a battlefield? "Lucy, listen to him." The young woman chimed in, her earlier enthusiasm dimmed. "I want to help you. You need a plan. Don't let anyone push you into something you're not ready for." Lucy looked between Evan and the woman, confusion swirling in her gut. "But I thought this was my chance to shine, to finally get noticed." "It is," Evan replied, urgency creeping back into his voice. "But don't lose yourself in it. It can change you in ways you don't expect." "What do you mean?" He stepped closer, his gaze intense. "I've seen people get lost in the spotlight. They change, they become someone else. I can't let that happen to you." For a moment, the room stood completely still, the noise a distant echo. Lucy felt her breath hitch in her throat. In all the excitement, she had lost sight of herself. Had she really understood what she was signing up for? "Lucy, there is so much that you have to offer," Evan continued. "You need to hold on to your truth. Promise me you won't let this opportunity define who you are." Tears pooled in her eyes, and she shook her head, the weight of his words heavy on her heart. "How do I do that? How do I stay grounded?" The young woman stepped forward, her voice steady. "You surround yourself with people who truly believe in you, not just your talent. And you remember why you started." As Lucy searched Evan's eyes, she saw a flicker of reassurance. "Yes," she murmured, the realization dawning upon her. "I have to be more than just a voice. I need to share my story, my truth." "Exactly." The woman's face lit up, awakening an ember of confidence inside Lucy. But before she could fully absorb this newfound determination, the atmosphere shifted again. A sharply dressed figure stepped forward from the shadows, exuding authority. The piercing gaze locked onto Lucy. "Time us up, darling. It's time to showcase what you're really made of." Every heartbeat echoed in her ears as tension filled the air. Lucy swallowed hard. There was no turning back now, but she could feel the fire of her truth igniting. What awaited her on the other side of this moment? "Are you ready for what comes next?" Evan whispered, his voice heavy with worry. With the weight of expectation and Eddie's trust beside her, she nodded slowly. "I am." As she stepped forward, anxiety danced with hope, and for the first time, she truly believed she might just be ready not just to perform, but to thrive. But in this whirlwind of emotion, a thought flickered at the edge of her mind. What if being true to herself was actually the most radical thing she could do? Tomorrow would tell. The bright stage lights felt blinding as Lucy stepped into the spotlight. The chatter of the audience faded into a heavy silence, each gaze fixed on her with an intensity that sent warmth flooding her cheeks. She could hear her own heartbeat, a persistent drum that echoed in her ears. This was at the moment she had both longed for and dreaded. "Welcome." The hostess' voice rang out, smooth and inviting. He wore a smile that seemed rehearsed, but Lucy could sense an edge beneath it, as if he were waiting for her to slip. The very air around her crackled with anticipation. "We have an exciting lineup today, including our bold newcomer, Lucy." Her heart raced. She could still feel Evan's words echoing in her mind, a mantra urging her to stay true. The audience clapped, some even cheerily chanting her name. But the closer she got to the microphone, the more the weight of their expectations pressed down on her. "Lucy, tell us what inspired you to join this project," the host prompted, leaning in curiously. It felt as if the world was narrowing down to just the two of them. Taking a deep breath, She steadied herself. I've always wanted to share my story to connect with others through music. The words tumbled out, a timid offering that felt both vulnerable and empowering. And what is the meaning behind your music? His question was sharp, probing, as if searching for a weakness. She hesitated, the question catching her off guard. It's about resilience. It's about finding your voice amidst the chaos. There was a quiet strength in her answer, a flicker of that fiery determination she had just felt stirring within her. The host raised an eyebrow, seemingly impressed, but then his demeanor shifted. Resilience is a great quality, but do you think it's enough to compete in such a ruthless arena? The word ruthless jabbed at her like a cold needle. A wave of insecurities crashed over her, threatening to drown her newfound confidence. What if he was right? What if she wasn't enough? She could see Evan in the corner of her eye, his face a mask of encouragement, urging her to push through. Yes, Lucy said, her voice rising stronger. Resilience is just the beginning. It's not the end. It's how you rise from the falls, how you learn to tell your story no matter the odds stacked against you. The audience seemed to shift, responding to her words. A ripple of surprised whispers floated through the crowd, bolstered by an undercurrent of admiration. She took that energy, cradled it, and pulled it into her next breath. What else do you think you bring to the table? The host pressed, shifting back into a more cynical persona. In that moment, Lucy felt electrified, as if the stage was her battleground. I bring my heart, she replied, locking eyes with him. I bring truth. I bring the power of vulnerability, and that is something no one can take away from me. A collective gasp echoed through the crowd. Evan's face lit up with pride, and Lucy felt grounded by his gaze, a lifebuoy in a turbulent sea. The host fumbled for words, clearly caught off guard. That's quite the statement. But Lucy knew this wasn't just performative. This was real, and she was here to be heard. No one's stories are less valid than others. I refuse to let fear define me. As she stepped back from the microphone, the audience erupted into applause. It flowed over her like warm sunlight breaking through clouds. She had spoken her truth, not just for the competition, but for herself. But as the applause faded, a dark shadow crossed her mind. What would happen when this moment ended? Would the world accept her truth, or would they try to bend it? Standing on the edge of a transformation, she searched through the faces in the crowd, needing a sign that she was on the right path. Then she spotted a figure slipping into the shadows, a familiar silhouette she hadn't expected to see. The air tightened around her. Lucy, Evan called, breaking through her thoughts. What's next for you? Her heart skipped. Everything she had dreamed of was unfolding, yet uncertainty loomed larger than ever. I don't know, she whispered, half to herself. But I want to find out. With that one answer, the future became a vast open road filled with promise, risk, and endless possibilities. But just as she began to feel confident about taking that first step, the shadows stirred again, revealing more than just a spotlight. There were whispers and schemes hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered. Would she have the courage to face them? Tomorrow would tell. The moment felt electric, a burst of potential hanging in the air. Lucy took a step back, her heart still racing. The applause washed over her, but the strange silhouette in the shadows occupied her thoughts. Was it someone from her past? She shook off the feeling, reminding herself that this was her moment. Evan's voice cut through the noise again, a grounding presence in the whirlwind. Lucy, that was amazing. You nailed it. His smile was wide, genuine, but she could still see the hint of concern etched in his brow. I can't believe I did that, she said, half laughing and half breathing a sigh of relief. Excitement pulsed through her, the adrenaline still surging. Of course you could, he replied, gripping her shoulders. You've been working so hard for this. Just remember what you said up there. Own your story. Lucy nodded, but her gaze drifted back to the curtains where the shadow had been. Something twisted in her stomach. Evan, did you see someone back there? A figure? I thought I recognized. But the moment faded as the chaos continued to swirl around them. Before Evan could respond, the show's crew beckoned her to the side of the stage, pulling her away for a quick debrief. They ran through logistics, the next segments, technical adjustments, and finally, a reminder about audience QA. But the voice in her head whispered doubts louder than the chatter around her. What if that silhouette was someone to fear? She forced herself to focus. During the question and answer segment that followed, Lucy found her footing again, feeding off the audience's energy. One question came after another, each eliciting genuine responses that showcased her passion. What shocked her most was the realization of how much courage bubbled up inside her, especially as she shared more personal anecdotes. As the questions continued, Evan watched proudly from the sidelines, yet Lucy couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. It was as if eyes were lingering just outside the spotlight, waiting for a mistake. Then, out of nowhere, it happened. A voice from the back piped in. "Do you think you could really handle the pressures of this industry?" Gasps echoed through the crowd, and Lucy felt every set of eyes zero in on her. The host looked taken aback, glancing between Lucy and the audience. He hesitated, but Lucy felt an old familiar fire ignite within. This wasn't a time to cower. "Yes," she replied firmly, her voice clear like a bell. "I am ready for whatever this journey brings. The pressures, the doubts, everything." The audience responded with a wave of cheers and applause. That surge of connection washed away the shadow she had felt earlier, even if just for a moment. But as she basked in the support, there was still that nagging worry at the edges of her mind. After the session, as she stepped off stage, Evan rushed to her. "You handled that like a pro. Let us get to celebrating." His enthusiasm was contagious, but Lucy's heart still raced with the thrill and anxiety of what lay ahead. "I need to check something first," she said, breaking away from him. "I saw someone, Evan. I can't shake this feeling." The lights dimmed as audience members spilled out into the lobby, and Lucy headed toward the back hall, drawn by instinct. The shadows lingered there, thicker and more daunting than ever. "Hey, who's there?" she called, her voice echoing slightly in the emptiness. Silence greeted her savagely, amplifying her heartbeat. And then, just out of the corner of her eye, she caught the familiar silhouette again. "Lucy?" A voice came, laced with uncertainty and unmistakable familiarity. Her heart dropped. "It couldn't be. Who are you?" she demanded, stepping closer, her heart racing with a mix of dread and anticipation. "It's me." Lucy stared into the shadows, yearning for clarity. What truth awaited her in this confrontation? What revelations would shift everything she thought she knew? "It's me," the voice faltered, and in that moment, time seemed to freeze for Lucy. The shadows parted just enough to reveal a silhouette familiar, but still shrouded in darkness. Her pulse quickened as the figure stepped forward, the dim light catching the outline of a face she never thought she'd see again. "David?" she whispered, fear and disbelief mingling in her chest. The years had changed him, but the haunting look in his eyes was still unmistakable. The boy who used to be her best friend suddenly felt like a ghost from a long-lost chapter of her life. "Lucy, I didn't think it was really you," he said, his voice wavering. "After everything I had to come see you." "Why now?" she asked, a sharp edge creeping into her tone. So many questions swirled in her mind. Why was he here after all this time? What had brought him back? Why after all these years? "I heard about your talk," he stammered, running a hand through his hair, which had grown slightly longer. "You moved on. I only found out recently. I wanted to congratulate you, but I had to tell you I'm sorry. About everything." Her stomach twisted at his words, an apology she had waited for, perhaps too long. But instead of the relief she expected, all she felt was anger and confusion. "Sorry? You think that just saying that will change anything? You vanished from my life without a word, David. I know, and I'm so sorry. You have no idea how hard that was for me," he pleaded, stepping closer, a desperate look in his eyes. "Things got complicated. My family, my life. I didn't know how to reach out. Not then, not after everything that happened." Lucy felt heat rising in her chest. The memories came rushing back, the laughter, the shared dreams, the friendship that had seemed unbreakable until it shattered without a trace. And still, despite her anger, a part of her ached to understand. "Complicated? You think that makes it okay? Being here tonight, it was a chance I had to take. I wanted to see you succeed. I wanted to tell you how proud I am." His voice softened, almost pleadingly, as if he were searching for a glimmer of forgiveness. Proud. The word hung in the air, suffocating her with mixed emotions. It felt surreal that he was standing there, acknowledging the person she had fought to become, and yet it brought back the shadows of her past. "You don't get to just appear and act like everything is fine, David." His gaze dropped to the ground, the weight of his regret palpable. I know I don't have a right to ask, Lucy, but could we just talk? Please? Lucy's heart wavered. Here in the shadows, outside the glow of her success, she felt vulnerable. A part of her wanted to unleash all the pain he had caused, while another part was curious about this man who still felt like a piece of her old life. She stepped back, torn between the two worlds she inhabited. What do you want from me? She asked finally, her voice trembling slightly. What do you expect me to say? I want you to see me as someone who cares, he urged. I want to show you how much I've changed. I'm not that kid who walked away. I can be someone for you again if you'll let me. Just give me a chance. Lucy's breath caught in her throat. Inside, a battle raged. Trust clashed with pain, curiosity against anger. All she wanted was clarity. As silence stretched between them, a loud voice from the hallway called out, interrupting their tense moment. Lucy, where are you? It was Evan, the sound of his voice cutting through the thick air like a lifeline. She glanced back toward the light, the bustling energy of the post-show celebration, and then back at David. Lucy, Evan's voice grew closer. I have to go, she finally said, stepping away from David, her heart aching with every step. I can't do this right now. Wait, he called after her, desperation lacing his tone. Please, just think about it. I want to explain. Lucy hesitated for a moment just beyond the shadows, emotions swirling like a storm. Could she really revisit her past? Was she strong enough to confront the feelings tied to it? She turned, half present in reality and half trapped in past memories. With each footfall, she felt the weight of what had been left unsaid. She had a choice, but which path would lead her to true freedom and understanding? Lucy, Evan's voice pierced through the haze, yanking her back to the moment as she stepped into the light. One thought lingered, was reconnecting with her past the key to her future? And would David still be waiting when she was ready to choose? Lucy stepped into the vibrant celebration, the noise and laughter washing over her like a tidal wave, drowning out the silence behind her. The bright lights made her squint, and she felt the warmth of the crowd enveloping her, but her heart was still locked in that dim cell of confrontation with David. Hey, there you are. Evan beamed as he approached, his smile infectious, and he pulled her into a brief hug. Everyone's been asking where you went. We were so proud of you tonight. Thanks, she managed to reply, her voice barely a whisper under the exhilaration buzzing around her. Are you okay? You look a little shaken, he said, concern creasing his brow. Yeah, just needed a moment, Lucy replied, forcing a smile as she scanned the crowd, searching for a familiar face that wasn't David's. Come on, let us celebrate. Evan grabbed her hand, leading her toward a group of friends gathered around a small table laden with treats and drinks. Lucy nodded absently, trying to immerse herself in the atmosphere. They toasted her success, and for a moment she enjoyed the affection and admiration from those around her, but a deeper whisper in her heart reminded her of the boy hidden in the shadows. As the evening wore on, laughter danced alongside her unease. It was hard to focus on the conversations when she could still feel David's eyes, the sorrow in his voice cutting through her triumph. She kept glancing at the entrance, half expecting him to walk back in, only to find herself reprimanding the flutter of hope that emerged each time. Lucy, a friend called, pulling her back into the circle. We were just saying how incredible you were tonight. Your speech was amazing. Really? You think so? She asked, genuinely surprised. Totally. You spoke from the heart. It's inspiring, another chimed in. Do you have any idea what kind of opportunities this could open up for you? Lucy nodded, the praise igniting a flicker of joy in her chest. Yet, each cheer felt like a bitter reminder that she was still struggling with something she thought she had put behind her. Hey, are you sure you're all right? Evan asked again, his gaze steady on her. I'm okay, Lucy replied, though doubt danced in her mind. But the reality of her fragmented emotions refused to fade. She felt like she was being pulled into two worlds, the one she was living, filled with dreams and ambitions, and the other, brimming with unresolved feelings that threatened to shatter her newfound confidence. As the party began to wind down, Lucy felt an overwhelming desire for honesty. She pulled Evan aside, taking a deep breath. I need to tell you something, okay? He replied, his expression serious now. David showed up tonight, she confessed. The name rolled off her tongue like a stone, weighing heavily between them. What? Why? Evan's disbelief was clear, and his protective instincts kicked in. Does he want to talk to you? Lucy nodded slightly. He apologized. He wants to explain. But I don't know if I can face that. Part of me wants to, but part of me is terrified. Evan sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. You deserve to decide what you want for yourself. Just remember, you've come so far. Yeah? Lucy murmured, her mind racing with possibilities and confessions left unsaid. A moment of silence passed, filled with unspoken thoughts. Then Evan asked, Are you going to meet him again? I don't know, she said quietly, staring at the ground, where her heart was scattered in pieces. Maybe I should. Maybe I need to know if I can forgive him, or if it's time to move on. The realization struck her this wasn't just about David. It was her path to closure. As the last of the party fizzled out, Lucy had a choice to make. Should she confront her past, or keep marching forward without looking back? Evan, would you go with me? She blurted out. Of course, he said without hesitating, his support a steady anchor amidst her swirling thoughts. But just as she contemplated their next step, the front door swung open once more, and in walked a familiar silhouette. Heart pounding, Lucy turned to see who it was, unsure if she was ready for what lay ahead. Would this night bring more clarity or just further confusion? And would the shadows of her past consume her, or finally allow her to step back into the light? The air crackled with tension as Lucy took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest. The familiar silhouette stepped into the party, and for a brief moment, time paused. It was David, his eyes scanning the room until they landed on her, filled with a mix of hope and anxiety. Suddenly, all the chatter faded into the background. This was it, the moment of truth. Lucy, he began, his voice trembling slightly as he approached her. The lively sounds of celebration dimmed to a whisper, amplifying the intensity of her feelings. Her stomach twisted, a whirlwind of emotions swirling within her. Can we just talk? Evan squeezed her hand, a silent reminder of his unwavering support. I'll be right here, he assured, his presence a solid wall against the uncertainty. Lucy nodded, swallowing hard. Okay. She moved away from the din of the party, her pulse quickening as she and David settled in a quieter corner. It felt surreal, as if a chapter she thought was closed had swung wide open. Thank you for hearing me out, David said, his voice softer now. I know I'm the last person you want to see, but I needed to come back and say how truly sorry I am. I didn't just leave you behind, I left a part of myself back there too. Her heart ached at his words. You have no idea how much time I spent wondering why you didn't just reach out, she replied, the hurt spilling out before she could stop it. Why you vanished when I needed you the most. I know, and I can't take that back. His eyes shimmered with vulnerability. I should have fought harder to stay. I was scared, and I let my fears drive a wedge between us. Watching you succeed tonight, it made me realize how much I've missed, how much I took for granted. With every word, Lucy felt a flicker of the past rise within her, memories of their shared laughter, the dreams they once held. She fought against the tide of nostalgia washing over her. But why now? She asked, her voice steadied by her determination to confront the past. Why come back when I'm finally moving forward? Because I wanted to see you realize your dreams, he replied earnestly, a sincere light in his eyes. I didn't think you'd still want to hear from me. But seeing you up there tonight, sharing your truth, it inspired me. You deserve to have everyone recognize how incredible you are. I had to tell you that. Lucy searched his face, longing to see the boy she once knew behind the man standing before her. David, it's not that simple, she said softly. I'm proud of where I am now, but I can't just erase the hurt. I don't expect you to. I know I've lost your trust. He reached out tentatively, stopping just short of touching her. I'm here, and I want the chance to build a bridge back if you'll let me. The silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken words. Lucy felt the walls she had carefully constructed around her heart begin to tremble. Was it possible to forgive, or to reclaim something from the ashes of their past? She thought of everything she'd overcome, how far she had come. Her heart thudded with uncertainty. Lucy? Evan's voice pulled her back momentarily, concern etched on his face as he approached their secluded space. Are you all right? Lucy paused, torn between the comfort of the present and the confusion of the past. Looking back at David, she saw a flicker of the boy who had been her best friend. I don't know yet. David nodded, understanding washing over his features. That's okay. I didn't come here to push you. I simply wanted to be honest. To let you know that I care. In that moment, she realized the weight of the past didn't have to suffocate her future. I need time, she finally said, finding her voice steady once more. But I'm willing to explore this. I want to close the door completely on you, or on us. Relief flooded David's eyes. Thank you. I want to waste this chance. They stood there for a moment, the air full of possibility and promise, a strange sense of peace settling over her amidst the uncertainty. Evan's supportive presence felt even stronger as he gently squeezed her shoulder, silently applauding her bravery. As the celebration buzzed back to life around them, and people began to filter into their corner, Lucy felt a refreshing clarity envelop her. She was still growing, still finding her way. Embracing uncertainty didn't mean abandoning her dreams. It meant expanding them, cultivating new relationships along the journey. With renewed determination, she turned to Evan. Are you ready to celebrate? She asked. He grinned broadly, the spark of excitement returning. Absolutely. You've earned it. As they stepped back into the heartbeat of the celebration, Lucy embraced the present moment with a radiance she hadn't felt in years. No longer shackled by the shadows of her past, she stepped into the light, filled with hope, courage, and a heart open to whatever came next. In that instant, she understood. Every journey, through its trials and tribulations, was a transformative beacon, guiding her closer to her true self. The future unfurled ahead, illuminated by the possibilities she would create. Lucy smiled, fully aware the world wasn't just waiting for her to succeed. It was waiting for her to shine. Now, more than ever, it was time to insist on celebrating every single moment. Don't wait, not even one more second. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support is everything. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. Let us talk about transformation. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible journey. You need to show your support. Only true fans will understand the importance of lighting this path together.